Hi, welcome to Nanyang Education's Primary School Problem Sum series, where we go through upper primary problem sum techniques. In this video, we'll be covering part 1 of our series, Repeated Identities. This is our first video, Fractions, and we'll go through the basic techniques for this topic. Under our problem sum technique playbook, we have 10 different techniques to go through, and this is just our first topic, so don't forget to follow us for more updates on the next few videos. So for this video, the lesson plan will be as such. First, we'll cover a basic question with a step-by-step guide. Next, we'll have another basic question for you to attempt on your own. And lastly, to really test your understanding, we have an intermediate question for you to try on your own. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So let's read this first question. Esther had 1/3 as many cookies as Becky. Becky had half as many cookies as Corinne. If Corinne had 36 cookies, how many cookies did Esther have? So first we want to write down the ratio of Esther and Becky. That will be 1:3. Next, we write down the ratio of Becky and Corinne, which would be 1:2. For step 3, we identify the common identity, which is Becky, since Becky appears in both ratios and is being compared with both Esther and Corinne. Now step 4, we need to multiply the common identity's two different values to get the lowest common multiple. Now what does this mean? Actually, let's take a look at the ratio between Esther and Becky, which is 1:3. Then we add Corinne into the same ratio. At a lower row, we write down the ratio of Becky and Corinne, 1:2. Next, we find the lowest common multiple for Becky's 3 parts at the top row and 1 part at the bottom row. And we need to make sure they are the same. How to do so? We need to multiply the bottom row by 3. That way, we get our overlapping ratio 1:3:6. Now we know that Corinne's 36 cookies is 6 units, we can finally solve the question. Since 6 units is 36, how many cookies will Esther have? He has 1 unit, so that will be 36 divided by 6 equals to 6. So Esther had 6 cookies. Now let's do a recap. First, we write down the ratio of the first comparison. Then we write down the second comparison in terms of ratio. Next, we can finally identify the common identity. While doing so, we multiply the common identity's two different values to get lowest common multiple, which will then give us our overlapping ratio. Finally, using the units and whatever information the question gave us, we can solve the question. Now that we have learned how to do the questions, let's attempt another one. There were 3/4 as many dogs as cats in a pet shop. There were 2 out of 5 as many cats as hamsters. If there were 30 dogs, how many hamsters were there? Feel free to pause the video and attempt the question first. You can resume once you're ready. Alright, if we are ready, let's start by writing down the ratio of dogs and cats. We should get 3:4. Next, we add in the hamster in the same ratio, and it should get us 2:5 at the bottom row. Now we need to equate the cat's 4 parts at the top row and 2 parts at the bottom row. How do we do that? We need to multiply the bottom row by 2 times. That will give us the overlapping ratio of 3:4:10. Now let us continue by looking at what information the question gives us. It said that there were 30 dogs, and our table shows that there are 3 units of dogs. So we know that 3 units equals to 30. So with 3 units equals to 30, we can find out that 1 unit equals to 30 divided by 3 equals to 10. Next, they ask us how many hamsters were there. As our table says, there are 10 units of hamsters, and that should be 10 times 10, 100. So that's our answer. There were 100 hamsters. Now, let's try a more difficult question. There were 2/3 as many adults as children in the park. There were 5 out of 3 as many women as men. If there were 45 women, how many people were there in the park? Feel free to pause the video and attempt the question first. You can resume once you're ready. Alright, so let's start with writing down the ratio of adults is to children. That should be 2:3. Next, the question also tells us the ratio between women and men is 5:3. So how do we combine this ratio? We actually need to notice that the adults is equals to women plus men. So we need to add up 5 and 3 to get 8. That way, for the top row, we have 2 parts of adults, and for the bottom row, 8 parts. So to equate them, we need to multiply the top row by 4. This will give us our combined ratio of 5:3 is to 8 is to 12. Now the question tells us there were 45 women, and our table says there are 5 units of women. So we can equate this as 5 units equals to 45. With that, we can find out that 1 unit equals to 45 divided by 5, 9. Now the question asks how many people were there in the park. So the total number of people is actually adults plus children. Take note not to double count the women and the men because we've already counted them in the adult section. So that would be 8 units plus 12 units equals 20 units, which is 20 times 9, 180. So that's our answer. There were 180 people in the park. Did you get it? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Bye!